Hi guys, so our group chose first grade math and the TEKS for this is 111.3.6C, which is geometry and measurement, where the student applies mathematical process standards to analyze attributes of two-dimension shapes and three-dimensional solids to develop generalizations about their properties. The student learner expectation is where the student is expected to create two-dimensional figures including circles, triangles, rectangles, and squares as special rectangles, rhombuses, and hexagons.
But I will not get down, for you can't force me now. Awakening is clear. I could show you.
The learner will review and strengthen their geometry and measurement sense by creating ornaments for the Christmas tree depending on the ornament station that they are sitting under. Secondly, each station will place an ornament on the Christmas tree with their name located on the back. Following this assessment, we will gather the students and choose a shape off the tree. Based on the name, that student will then explain and give an example of that shape. As a warm-up, the teacher will toss a shape to each student. They should recognize and be familiar with the properties of that shape. Following, they will give an example of that shape, whether inside the classroom or outside the classroom. For example, a circle could be a pizza, a triangle could be a cone, a rectangle could be a table, or a square could be a TV.
I could show you how to fight
Hi, I'm Kyra and today I'm going to be going over 3 parts of the lesson plan for TEKS. They're all under Designing Supportive Learning Environments. The first one I'm going to be talking about is materials, what the students need to be successful in this activity. So, since we're making a Christmas tree, we're going to need green butcher paper for the actual tree figure. Then we're going to need brown butcher paper for the stem of the tree. That tree will be placed up on the wall in the classroom. Next, we're going to need different colors of paper which will be provided so that each student can make a colorful ornament or shape. Then we're going to need scissors so that you can cut out each shape, and drawing utensils such as colored pencils and pencils so that you can trace the shape, if it's a circle, square, rectangle, triangle, doesn't matter. The other materials we're going to include, because once you're done writing your name on the back, what you're going to do is you're going to write your name on the back of the ornament, and you're going to say if it's a circle, a square, a rectangle, and then let's say I made a circle, I'd write the circle, and then Kyra guessed it. You're going to put some glue on there, and then we're going to go and stick it wherever you'd like on the Christmas tree. We also might have some examples of different looking shapes on the table so that children can get a visualization of what they are going to be creating and drawing. So that's all the materials that you're going to need for this activity. The next part I'm going to talk about is the setting. So the environment, the classroom that the students are in, you always want a positive setting and environment. So there are going to be groups. That's the first basic thing. When you walk into the classroom, the setting is going to be in different groups. So let's say we do 4 different shapes. One group will be a shape, the other group will be a shape, and so on and so on. So let's say we did triangle, rectangle, square, and circle. When you walk in, you'll be assigned a shape. Let's say the first table is circles. All the circles will be in a group with other kids, and they will do their activity with them. And so they aren't alone, they can ask for help. The teachers will be walking around the assistant, making sure everything is good, that they're getting the idea, that it's going to be a very positive setting. So yes, there will be groups, and that's the setting. So now I'm going to be talking about what the student needs. The student needs are very important. You always want the kid to come in with an open mind, a thinking cap on, knowing their shapes, knowing what they look like, knowing what they're called, because you're going to have to be able to recognize what you're drawing and writing on the back of your shape. You're going to be able to put your knowledge to the test and really, expand what you know. A good way to look at it, if you're doing a circle, kids like to relate to food, items outside in the real world. A pizza's a circle, a pizza looks like this, so, kind of just make sure that your brain's functioning. Just to know that you are going to have to come in with an open mind and ready to take this activity on and just be really positive and upbeat.
I could show you how to defeat them.
As a warm-up, the teacher will toss a shape to each student. They should recognize and be familiar with the properties of that shape. Following, they will give an example of that shape, whether inside the classroom or outside the classroom. For example, a circle could be a pizza, a triangle could be a cone, a rectangle could be a table, or a square could be a TV.
I will now present our group's closure for the lesson plan. In order to help the learners organize and review the key information that we learned during the day's lesson, we would review the key content concepts by playing the Shapes on a Christmas Tree game, and which will be explained fully by Madison within the summative portion of the video. For a basic summary, presented on a whiteboard will either be a hand-drawn Christmas tree, if our materials were not accessible via the art studio within our elementary school, or a Christmas tree that we made with green butcher paper. Students, which would have been placed in different groups based on the shapes for the day's lesson, will be asked to create the different shapes as an ornament. And these shapes will correspond with what they learned in the day's lesson. On the back of these shapes, we will ask them to name the shape, as well as place their name so they receive proper credit for participation. As the students finish their shapes, they will then decorate the Christmas tree, or the holiday tree, and be asked to name each of the shapes as an individual. We will call upon them as needed. However, once we have finished our small Christmas tree or holiday tree, and each of the students have identified the different two-dimensional shapes, we will not only ask that student to copy down the shapes, but to draw examples in their notes for future usage. This in turn will lead to a mini pop quiz, which will be presented the following class day, in which students will be asked to identify the shapes that they learned the previous day.
For our pre-assessment today, we are going to be doing the Think, Ink, Pair, Share. A way to get students to reveal what they know and believe about the topic is to begin by having them commit their thoughts to writing. To access what a group knows, we have students discuss their ideas in pairs and then to share them with a large group.
The formative portion of our lesson plan will be used to assess the students' progress throughout the lesson. We will prepare a series of higher order questions and requests in which the students will need to answer and do in order to ensure that the information is being explained properly. This will not only test their knowledge, but ensure that they will walk away with the proper geometric background they need for future grades. Those questions and requests are: number 1, to recall, which will be used in the focus portion of the lesson for that day. Shay would have properly explained that previously, in which we will toss a shape towards a student and ask them the following request. Name this shape. Number 2, to analyze. This will be achieved by asking the students to give an example of the following shapes: a circle, triangle, rectangle, square, and special rectangles, which will include rhombuses and hexagons. Number 3, which is to compare items. We will ask the students to distinguish between a circle and triangle, distinguish between a square and rectangle, and compare hexagons and rhombuses to rectangles. Number 4 is to inference. We will ask the students to create an ornament in the form of the shapes that was presented in the lesson plan. This would have been explained in the summative portion of the video. Finally, we will have an evaluation of the lesson in which we will ask the students to answer the following questions. Which of the shapes that we learned about today is the best, and why do you think so? This can be, for example, I enjoyed circles because it reminds me of my favorite food, sushi.
lesson plan today, we will begin by reviewing our objective. The learner will apply their knowledge by distinguishing two-dimensional and three-dimensional shapes according to their station. Students will place the shapes accordingly on our class Christmas tree. Following this, students will, at random, be asked to describe their shape by giving examples.